Hey, it's BK on the air here, just to let you know that this is a podcast rebroadcast of my live radio show that you can hear Saturdays 10 a.m. till noon Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF. You can stream it at WBHFradio.org or download the free Tunein app for all of your mobile devices. So let's get started. Let me just push this button here and... Okay. All right. Let's try this again. Here we go. Oh yeah, I'm a short timer, all right. Starting to feel that urge to leave and go on vacation, fall break. My time off happens to coincide with my better half, who happens to be a teacher, educator type person. She takes young minds and fills them with stuff that pour right back out of the other ear, and she has to put it back in there, with a little scoop. It's like you're in a sandbox. Yeah, kind of put it back in there and help them out. But every time Mrs. BK takes a vacation or a break out of when the school systems gives them breaks, I'll go and kind of make my time coincide with hers. So this will be I don't even like thinking about it. This will be my last Saturday for 2 Saturdays in a row, and I got to find somebody to fill in for me.
So that means,
who can fill in for me when I'm out and do such a stellar job that I do?
That means
who can do that?
2 weeks you won't have a podcast.
That's not true. I'll take the. Oh, by the way, you're filling in for me, right?
I will fill in for you.
Cool.
I love filling.
So if you ever want to hear the show, you ever want to hear my show without me, where it's better, listen to when Alan hosts it, because he's going to make less mistakes. He won't. He won't do any screw ups or anything like that. And he'll talk about he'll make more sense, I guess. Than me,
last time though, which I didn't know I'd be able to handle this. Last time I had to do it solo, but
I've done it before.
I think I
don't think it's as fun.
Of the show, allows for banter, and the banter is what's fun.
Yes, the banter.
Obviously, you could do it. You've done it by yourself before. I've obviously done it, but I prefer.
But no, I'll
or more.
I'll mix it down to the podcast and
all right. Well, then I'll go ahead and save the show and send it to you. Dang it.
It's okay.
Got to do work now. I mean, I have to do show prep now.
Now. It might be behind a few days before they get up there.
Just because you're on vacation, you're not going to do it while you're out? You're not going to bring your laptop with you?
I'm not even going to have. Are you kidding me? Mrs. BK says, I'm on vacation. I'm not even taking my laptop, because she does a lot of work, school teacher, from her school laptop. She's like, I'm not even going to think about a laptop while I'm down here. I'm not going to think about any of that. It's going to be gone. Yeah, we'll have our phones with us, but it'll be like when we're on a cruise ship. We're like, the phones are basically kind of cameras at this point. Mm-hmm. Use them for photos, but we won't be listening. When I go to the beach, and that's where we're going to this is fall break for a lot of teachers and a lot of people. We're going to go to Universal Studios in Orlando, which is one of my favorite theme parks. And I'm going to do a little history about Universal today on the show and tell you a little bit about the park. A little more affordable than some other theme parks in Orlando. Another big one that's down there.
Yeah.
We did. And people are like, well, you can go to Disney World with no problem. Just go down, for a couple of days and stay in a Motel 6. I'm like, why would I want to go to a theme park and stay somewhere I don't want to stay? Drive there and park and pay for that parking every day, and then and you could just go to one park and you're fine for a couple of days and go home. I'm like, not the way we do it. Mm-hmm. That's like saying, I'm going to go to the beach, but I'm going to only park in my car and look at the beach for a couple hours and then drive home. Why would I do that? Mm-hmm. I don't want to halfway do it, because when Mrs. BK goes to Disney World, it's all the parks. We see everything. Stay in not the best resort, but a nice one. The experience. We want the experience. The last time we looked at, okay, let's plan a trip to Disney World. We planned it all out. So we could stay here, stay this many days, do this, do that, do this, do that, and do this. We added it all up, and we're like, we can go to Europe for that. So why don't we save that, put that aside, and just use that one year to go to Europe or something. So that's a little too expensive.
Remember when they were family friendly and thought about doing things that were affordable? Yeah.
Some of these places are pricing middle class, sometimes upper middle class families right out of going and having a good time. Yep. I think Walt's going to turn it. Walt Disney is going. I'm convinced he's going to become a zombie and come out of his grave one day and go, and come after all the Disney executives and go, make it affordable again, like you should have. And he's just going to attack them. So, and I'm sorry, if you can afford it, that's cool. But it's really high. A lot of the places are high. But Universal Studios in Orlando, there's two parks there. about to be 3. In 2025, they're opening a new park in Universal called Epic Universe, just about 4 blocks south of there on another site, which will be part of the park. But it's like less than half to go to Universal, and to me, it's my favorite park out of the two anyway.
I haven't been to Universal in so long. It'd be like going for the first time.
Oh, and it's great. And they're going to have even more stuff. There's new stuff there that I haven't ridden yet. But we'll get to that, too. I'll talk about that, and I'm looking forward to that. But then after we get done with that, we're going to drive from Universal Orlando to Panama City Beach, Florida. And then that's to recover from the 3 days walking at the park and getting jerked around and upside down and warp speed and Harry Potter and everything. It's fun, but you know what? Even having fun for a long period of time can tire you out. It's like you come down off of that. Oh, that was great. The adrenaline's wearing off now. I'm going to pass out and take a nap. Yeah, so we're going to go to the Gulf of Mexico, Panama City. And I don't care. Everybody's like, why don't you go over there? And I'm like, well, anywhere along the Gulf of Mexico is our favorite beaches. I don't have to go to one place. I can go to wherever the best deal is. Mm-hmm. So if it happens to be in Panama City or it happens to be in Orange Beach, Alabama, or around Mobile, Alabama, or Gulf Shores, that's where we'll go. So we got a nice place in Panama City we're going to go to. But I appreciate you. You're going to fill in. Possibly Walt into Darkness is here. We don't know. He may have a mission inside the neutral zone that he has to take care of for Starfleet or something like that.
I will take what you said.
We don't know.
End of my show. I'm going to have a cardboard cutout.
In case you need one.
I'm going to head over to the warehouse. I'm going to say, I need a lot of cardboard. I got to do a cutout of Walt.
Walt, I did not say that. He said that, so don't take that as a.
Well, I want it life size.
Gospel, so don't do that.
So don't make it life size. Make him a mini Walt.
Right. Yeah.
1/8 the size of the actual
mini
Walt.
me.
I should do that.
How much does
I'm going to get the actor from Mini Me. I'm just going to put Walt. I'm going to Photoshop his face on Mini Me
and put it in the chair, and it's only half of the chair.
And then print it out in cardboard and just prop it up in the chair.
Right.
He's like, oh.
You got to put a Grateful Dead T-shirt on it though.
I'll get
for Sanford and Son T-shirt.
And I'll get the pose of him, the actor, giving me the #1 sign,
right,
showing me how good I am.
I think that Troyer, what's the first name? I don't know his first name, but I think his last name is Troyer. He died.
Yeah.
But I think that he might not have been a great actor because the only lines they gave him in Austin Powers was "ee ee." That's all he said. So.
Can I tell you? Okay, segue. Since you brought up, Mini.
What?
The scenes where he treats him like a feral cat and spraying him with the water bottle. Down,
right,
down,
right,
down.
Right. Right.
And he looks over and goes, No, you don't eat kitty.
Did you know?
He's trying to chew on his ear.
Did you know that water, speaking of that, water works on cats. Water doesn't work on my dog who had a squirt bottle. She'd sit there and go.
Tries to open her mouth.
Yeah, she just drink it as a shoot.
Dogs.
She doesn't
Dogs are different than
cats. Isn't that the truth? Dog people are different from cat people.
Yes.
I don't dislike cats. I'm allergic to cats. I can't be around cats.
I would not wish harm to a cat.
But if I had to choose between a dog and a cat world, I'm more of a dog person. It's just the way I am.
Dog world.
I'm a Munsters guy, not Addams Family. I don't hate the Addams Family. I'm just that.
You pick
You get
Universal
it.
versus Disney.
You get
Dog
it.
versus cat.
Pete Floyd, Led Zeppelin. I'm Pete Floyd. No,
I can appreciate both.
Be down there. More wonderful wisdom like that when we come back.
We will return after these messages.
Sit, Lucky. Sit.
Hey, don't forget to reward him.
Huh?
Don't forget his liver snaps.
I don't like to give him too many treats.
He can eat lots of liver snaps. They're nutritious treats you can give a dog anytime.
Nutritious treats?
Sure, they're made with real liver, and dogs love them.
So I can treat him to liver snaps anytime.
Treat him to liver snaps, because dogs love liver.
Anytime.
Hold it, Colonel. There's something moving out there.
Welcome to the moon, senor.
Frito Bandito, what are you doing here?
Oh, I am the moon parking lot attendant. Now, if you will kindly deposit 1 bag of crunchy Fritos corn chips for the first hour.
Always buy 2 and hide 1 bag for you. Remember, anyone can be a Frito Bandito. Anyone.
We now return to our program.
Greetings, Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. One of my fondest early memories was waking up on the weekends to catch my favorite Saturday morning cartoons, one of which was Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Originally created in 1948 from the minds of Chuck Jones and Michael Maltese, this specific Warner Brothers tune garnered 49 shorts, each about 6 to 7 minutes long. Beginning in the movie houses with their first episode, The Fast and the Furriest, they were originally meant to parody the zero-dialogue chases between the vastly popular cartoon Tom and Jerry. But these two Looney Tunes soon took on a life of their own. Each show immediately dove straight into the humor, beginning with a freeze-frame mock Latin description of the two characters, and from there, the ingenious slapstick comedy ensued. It was Warner Brothers background animator and sound effects specialist Paul Julian who vocalized the beep beep or meep meep, whichever you prefer, sounds of the uncatchable and much smarter Roadrunner. Wile E. Coyote was able to cross over within the Merry Melody world, also appearing in 5 episodes of Bugs Bunny. In doing so, he was given a hyper-sophisticated voice. After all, he was a self-proclaimed super genius, and who better to voice him? Mel Blanc, of course. Although the Coyote's outlandish attempts to catch a nice Roadrunner meal never succeeded, the always hilarious entertainment of this classic cartoon surely did. For BK on the Air, this is Pat McCormick with the Golden Rage of TV.
If you're on a highway, Roadrunner, just up the side of your mind. Roadrunner, Roadrunner, run down the road. Even the coyote can't change his ways. Roadrunner, let the coyotes after you. Roadrunner, if he catches you, you're through. Roadrunner, let the coyotes after you. Roadrunner, if he catches you, you're through. That coyote is really crazy clown. When we learn that he never can hold him down. Poor little Roadrunner never bothers anyone. Just running down the road to his idea of having fun.
Thank you, Pat. Yeah, the Roadrunner and the Coyote. Were you as fast? I know you were. I'm asking a question that I already know the answer to, but I just want to confirm it. Saturday morning, getting up and watching, I couldn't wait for, and in my house, being a different time zone in Alabama growing up, it was 7 a.m., I think, or 8, that CBS would run the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show, which was basically a compilation of all their old cartoons from the 50s, 40s, and the 50s maybe, and then they filmed like special things from the early 60s to wrap around the story, like introducing it on stage and singing at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
That was all added later. I didn't know that as a kid. I thought it was all new basically when it would come out. The Roadrunner and the Coyote. Could there have been a more genius cartoon way to just show comedy through no dialogue whatsoever, just using sound effects and two mortal enemy things that would one would run away from the other one, but in this case, the victim is the one that's doing the chasing all the time. They turned the tables, and it was just the sound effects that they would compile, the directors that would put that together, Warner Brothers Animation through the Looney Tunes and the Merry Melodies and all that they did, but pointing out Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, since it's coming up on this day in history, I got to tie into that. Pure genius and funny as heck.
There are very few of the Looney Tunes in general that I don't like. All of them. At some point, would always find like Pepe Le Pew chasing the cat. Like I never got tired of that. No. Always, and the devices wonderful. For the cat always finding its way to get a white stripe down its back, and
him thinking Pepe. It's a skunk.
I laughed every time. Tweety Bird and Grandma beating up Sylvester.
Sure, he's always trying to get Tweety. It was basically their version of Tom and Jerry.
Obviously,
chasing another
Bugs, Daffy,
creature.
Elmer. I can't think of any Looney Tunes I didn't like. I loved Foghorn Leghorn.
Oh yeah,
I didn't even live in the South when it was the big.
when he would go up to the dog, and with him it's the dog and him, and it wasn't really they weren't chasing each other to eat him. They just didn't like each other. When he would there's one in particular, I can't remember which one it was, but Foghorn just sees the dog. And he's not doing anything at all. He walks up to the dog's dog house, pulls him out by the tail, and starts whacking him with his 2x4. He just runs off, and the dog chases him. And he's on the chain,
line.
And he's like, and the chain pulls
and he stops just where the chain's going to stop.
Yeah. hilarious.
Of course,
it's just
they
crazy.
set that up, and then later in the episode, the dog, he doesn't have the collar. He's like hanging on, like, and he's like,
uh-oh.
I say that's a problem.
So, yeah, Warner Brothers, and I'm glad Pat did that thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, Pat McCormick and Golden Rage of TV, let me tell everybody out there, he's got a great YouTube channel. Check him out and like and subscribe to him. He has premiered his podcast, and he's interviewed Loretta Swit from MASH. And I think he split it up into 2 parts, but I'm not sure. I think he did. But go out and check it out. It's a fantastic first episode of a podcast for him to get Loretta Swit, Hot Lips herself, from MASH, the TV series.
Here's the problem. You go downhill from here.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Sorry, Pat.
That was Pat's conundrum. He was asking me. He called me and he goes, "Should I lead off with this one?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. You could just do another one and premiere it, and then save Loretta Swit for later." But I'm like, "Pat, I think you're fine. Go ahead and just play the Loretta Swit one, and it's great." I said, "You're a professional, man. You can do it. You're going to be great at whatever you do."
I told him when he asked me the same question. I said, "Do it and go out on top." He goes, "What? What do you mean go out on top?" I go, "That one and done."
If there's never another one,
you'll never have another one to compare
Don't
it to.
worry about
that's
it.
That's your masterpiece. That's your rosebud.
And I'll mention a few more for you to check out. These guys are fantastic. If you like listening to me and talking about retro and nostalgic stuff and things like that, check out Pat McCormick and the Golden Rage TV. Also, check out Dave Sundstrom. He has a great YouTube channel. It's called The Good Stuff, but he's on YouTube under Dave Sundstrom. Go and like and subscribe him.
Stuff.
No, that's different. Yeah, that's completely different. Don't eat that. But
he may talk about the stuff.
He's got a great podcast that when he's on and doing a live cast, hundreds of thousands of people log on and just are chatting with him on text and stuff as he's doing the messages as he's doing the show. The other one is a guy named Ian with Retro Serial. Check out his channel, too.
It's a great name.
Fantastic. Retro Serial channel. That's another great one. And another guy, an online nostalgic friend of mine now that I call him Nostalgic Pal, Thrash Pondo. Look him up as Thrash Pondo. That's his name on YouTube. He does a great job doing stuff. There's 4 plugs with 4 great guys that I'm actually going to talk to these guys soon. Since everyone likes to do the live YouTube streams now and put everyone's face up when we're all talking about things and stuff, and then when someone will talk, they'll put them in the center, and it's almost like when the Brady Bunch come on. You see all the squares of the whole family on there. It kind of looks like that. I'm going to talk to these guys. I'm working on doing all of us together, all of the retro guys, including all those 3 or 4 guys too, all of us on one night doing it. And it's just going to be fun if we're able to do it and make it happen. I think it's going to be great. Maybe after I get back from vacation, if they're interested in doing that, I'd love to do it.
Schedule it for next week.
No, don't say that. That's something I would do. It's like, oh, you're going to do it? Let's do it next Thursday. Okay, and I'm sitting down, on the beach, and I'm getting these frantic texts. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, no, I didn't bring my laptop. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, no. See, that's something I would do. That's something Alan won't do over the next 2 Saturdays. He won't mess up like I do. I mess up things like that. Alan kind of doesn't do things
Maybe I
like
should
that.
invite them to come in and help with content.
He's a... Hey, so give you some of their contact info. They may want to do a Zoom on one of the Saturdays coming up. Well, you can figure out whatever you want to do and let me know, and that's great. You will not lack for anything to talk about. Okay. I'm telling you right now.
So we got to do this very quickly because we started off with Pat McCormick.
Yeah.
You said he's got a great channel.
He does. Yeah.
I don't think we said what it was called.
Golden Rage of TV. I said it. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I said it.
Well, what's his podcast called?
Isn't it Golden Rage of TV?
I don't know.
I'll have to look and see. If you go to his YouTube page...
Retro TV Trivia?
That could be it. Yeah, that's it. Retro TV Trivia. That's right. See, again, that's why Alan's here. Alan, I'm a trapeze artist at a circus. And Alan is Plastic Man. Remember Plastic Man? He could turn into anything. Alan turns into the safety net under me. He's like, all right, here I am in case you fall. Alan's my safety net.
Shape of a trampoline.
That's Wonder Twins.
Your form of water running into the sewer.
Only with us, we're Wonder Twins. Are like, hey, Wonder Twin powers activate. We touch fingers, and you go, shape of a smart guy that used to be in the military that doesn't mess up a lot. And I'm like, shape of dumb butt that messes up all the time. That's our powers.
Dumbo versus Bugs Bunny.
That's what. And I cleaned that up for air.
You did. The fact that we can do that on the fly. Because
Sometimes,
we've been on podcasts where we can be okay with letting the hair down.
Forget where you are.
You have to remember. Well, one, you're not going to get fired. The other, you will.
Yeah. One of my cousins asked me, he goes, when you do the podcast, you really don't use any bad, foul language, and it's kind of fun. Once you Richard Pryor it up a little bit. I'm like, because when I'm doing a podcast, I start using colorful metaphors, and sometimes I get back on the air. I forget where I am. And if I don't use it at all, well, then I'm safe. Something about being safe, that's messed up. Yeah, we don't want to do. FCC might not like that.
You know what I discovered, and I did it with my first 2 seasons, Walt and I, with the Wilder ride.
Yeah, podcast.
When you mask the bad word in such a way that you know what the bad word is, I think is funnier.
It is funnier. It is funnier. And you know what you have to do? You have to fine-tune that, too. When I do that on the podcast, if I say a bad word or something's on the I'll include something extra on the podcast that may have a bad word. I'll still mask it out with a bleep or something. But you let the first little part of the first word start.
That little syllable
like
starting.
A little, yeah. Then you cut it off there, not even because you're like, oh, that's even funnier. You want to do like that.
I prefer that.
It's just funny when you do
that. That cracks me up.
Well, we got a lot coming up on the program. We're coming up at the bottom of the hour, and we're going to flash the audience when we come back with the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. And I got some good ones today, man. It's like I don't ever have any good ones, right? That's every Saturday. Why do I even say that? But coming up on the program, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of Universal Studios when we come back after we flash the audience. The Toy Hall of Fame finalists, by the way, they do that, I think, every year. They put new toys into the Toy Hall of Fame. You might be familiar with some of these. One of these, I don't know what it is. I may have to ask Alan. Alan's about 4 years younger than me. You may know that one.
I may still play with
I don't know. Because you collected Transformers, and I never got into that because that was later. I was in I think I started high school when Transformers came out, and we didn't do that.
I did Transformers, but I did very few G.I. Joes, which is really weird.
I did the old G.I. Joe, the fuzzy head beard one, the Adventure Team.
Because those cartoons were done basically by the same people, Hasbro in the background.
Right,
and
they turned G.I. Joe into a team instead of, there wasn't one guy named G.I. Joe.
I just never got into the action figures of Hasbro's G.I. Joe, but I got into all the Transformers, and I think probably because it was cool, I could make a car or a jet or a gun.
They were. I still to this day, I don't think there's anything cool about turning into a tractor trailer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Optimus Prime. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm turning into an F-16. I'm turning into a rocket ship. I'm turning into a giant spaceship. I turn into a tractor trailer. Okay. Just doesn't seem as
And see,
cool.
That's the difference of 4 years at the right time in development. Yeah. You didn't turn the egg over in time.
No.
Completely different output.
I didn't. And again, I go further back than you do. I'll come up and go, I used to watch The Honeymooners growing up and these old 50s sitcoms that my dad watched and I loved, and it took me into the 70s. And you're like, well, I was watching more of the 80s stuff, and that's okay, though. There's nothing wrong with that. But we both know exactly what we're talking about. We can almost finish each other's sentences.
Almost, which is a little creepy.
It's true. I don't want to get married, though.
To say that you behave childishly is an insult to children everywhere.
Whenever I feel like a great tasting meal, I go back to Del Taco again. Hot stuff. There's only one place where you get so much taste, so I'm back in Del Taco again. Hot stuff. The way that they flavor, it's everyone's favorite, tangy, spicy blend. Del Taco's hot stuff, I just can't get enough, so I'm back in Del Taco again. Hot stuff.
Hey, world, who do you take traveling?
MasterCard and me.
Who do you take shopping?
MasterCard and me.
Who do you take to dinner?
MasterCard and me.
And me.
MasterCard and me. We can do it all.
MasterCard's the only credit card I really need. Anywhere.
MasterCard and me, we can do it all.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here, having a wonderful time off the air, just as fun as on the air. But I can't air what we say off the air. I might get in trouble. So I'm glad to have you out there. AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF, streaming at WBHFradio.org, our wonderful website, and on the free Tunein app and Radio Garden app. Download either or both apps, and you can take us anywhere you want as long as you got a signal. You could be on the dark side of the moon and have a cell phone signal if you've got one.
Technically you can't.
I don't know what phone would reach that far, but if you've got a signal, I don't care where you are, you can take us anywhere and put us in your pocket like a little teeny tiny mini-me or something.
I'm so into hearing crystal clear radio that even when I'm within range of the FM will still stream this station to hear it perfect.
And you know what I do? Just out of nostalgia, I just love it because I'm glad that it's still around. When I'm coming to the station in the morning,
don't put
just
it
to
on
hear
the
you,
AM.
I listen to the AM. I do because it's fun. I'm listening to AM.
I already
it
sound
still exists.
bad, and now you're like,
it still
listen how much
exists.
worse he sounds.
AM still exists. Radio stations still exist. I
Quick,
love
drive
that.
under a bridge. He's about to say something I disagree with.
A bridge. We're talking about our station. Hey, let a bird land on the antenna on my car.
Look, a cloud went overhead. Can't hear it anymore.
AM's knocking out.
Flock of birds. Where'd the signal go?
Has anyone checked on the transmitter and made sure the hamsters are okay in the wheel that's going around? Somebody needs to feed them. It's that time that we flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre, and the crazy. And I've got them all right here. Wait till you hear this. I got the first news. From UPI, an Arizona ice cream shop earned a Guinness World Record by offering 266 milkshake flavors. Now, Alan, if you had to pick your favorite milkshake flavor, what's your favorite one? Do you have one that you always just go to as a standby?
You know what? If I'm doing a
one.
milkshake, it's going to be like a vanilla milkshake.
That's me. I just love the vanilla bean.
Just
milkshake.
a vanilla
It's
milkshake.
really good. And you know, and if they want to get crazy with it sometimes and make it like vanilla bacon or whatever, I've had bacon in ice cream before, and it's really good with salt.
Bacon's awesome.
Salt and sugar. And I understand that salty sweet is an American thing. The Europeans don't like that. And I'm like, well, out of all the crazy things
it's
they
not
eat,
that
why
they don't like it.
that?
It's not part of their, like, almost every meal has a salty sweet component.
That's
whereas
true.
we do.
Maybe that's why. Yeah. Well, this record was 266 milkshake flavors, and they made them all in just over an hour.
Wow.
This place. Snowcap, an ice cream shop in Seligman, attempted a Guinness World Record for most milkshake flavors on display, and the event was timed to coincide with a visit from motor oil company Mobil 1 as part of its Keep
I don't want
Route
that flavor.
66 tour. Yeah, I guess it's the tour, but I'm like, how does that tie in?
I don't want that
see.
flavor.
I see.
And number 267,
I see.
motor oil.
Well, they
no
would try that in Asia because I watched that Man vs. Food once, and he goes, "Here, there's I tried a rattlesnake milkshake once," and he actually said this. He goes, "This tastes like in the back of my throat once I eat it." He said, "This tastes like vomit," and I'm like, "Why would anybody eat it then? Why would you do it? You know?"
It's an every flavor bean.
A Guinness World Record adjudicator was on hand as the shop's owners, the Delgadio family, made every milkshake on the menu in about an hour and 15 minutes. The unusual flavors prepared by the shop include, but not limited to, peanut butter and onion ring, banana and chili.
At the same time?
Yes, and orange and fish burger.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, there's three combinations.
First of all, what's a fish burger?
I like the vanilla and the bacon. I can do that. But, okay, the banana and chili, I might try that one. Just out of those three, the lesser of the three, I think that's the one I would try.
What was the peanut butter one?
Peanut butter and onion ring. That might be, I don't know, I might try that. That's my second one I try. But I'd want to stay away, I think, from the orange and fish burger. I don't get those two. Whoever took those two and put them together.
Who thought of combining those flavors?
It's like, let's mix two things together. What's the best thing we can mix together? Oil and water. They don't mix. It doesn't work.
I just don't understand. So
there's a lot I don't understand in this world.
All right,
most of it's at my house.
It seems to follow me around.
Yeah.
I've got the next news. UPI, a Maryland man who saw the same address on TV twice ended up using the number combination to play the lottery and won $50,000.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah, the 82-year-old Hyattsville man told Maryland lottery officials the Pick 5 ticket he bought for the September 1 drawing at AJ Liquors in Brentwood, got to give them a plug, bore a set of numbers from an unusual source. Quote, I was watching a movie and the number 2103 was shown as an address, the player recalled. Then the very next program showed the same number as another address, 2103. So the man used the number to buy a Pick 4 ticket and added an extra 1 to the end to make it a Pick 5. He said it was days after the drawing before he discovered he had actually won $50,000 from the Pick 5. The man said he immediately called his sister to share the news.
So the other fascinating
Not the money, just the news.
No, the other fascinating part about that is what made him put the 1 at the end?
Right.
What came to his head to go, let's just put a 1 in the extra
Well, you need
digit
5.
I know,
I'll
but
put a 1.
why did he pick 1?
Oh,
Because
he
it's
wanted to be number
1?
1.
Okay, I guess that's what it was. So that's weird. I find it fascinating.
I'm only going to buy 1 ticket.
When people go, there's a surefire way to win the lottery. Here, I bought a book, or I got this thing, and it says choose this one, choose that one, choose this one. When has that ever worked, and why are those people not billionaires by using it all the time? There is no way to pick lottery numbers. Please, give me a break. When I hear that, I'm like, it's totally random. Just treat it that way, because it is. I don't know how any other way to put it. There's no way to teach someone how to win the lottery. The only way you could tell somebody how to win the lottery is like, well, play it. If you don't play it, you're darned guaranteed not to win.
There's one sure way you will not have your number drawn.
That's exactly right. But if you play it, you're not guaranteed to win, but you have a better chance than if you don't play it at all.
No, and what's crazy is the way odds work, there is no really, you're not really increasing your odds buying more tickets.
I guess you could if you, I mean, how much would you have to buy to change it?
The sheer number to
billion
try to
number
get,
picks?
You wouldn't make the money back.
And there's no way to do it. Don't think that the people that play it.
Do you not think they thought that through?
The people, yeah, it's there for a reason. The people that play it, depending on the jackpot, too, they're like, I'm playing the lottery. It's $900 million. It's $1 billion. I'm playing it. I'm like, okay, well, cool. It's a big jackpot. I'm like, okay, well, your odds are the same, I guess, because, if it's $1 million or 500,000 or $1 billion, come on, you're just going to play it because it's higher. I understand. I got the next news. This is local. A Georgia highway was littered with cases of beer Monday when a truck carrying a load of Bud Light was involved in a crash. And if you were listening, you heard it from our news traffic team right here at WBHF Radio. The Cartersville Police Department said southbound Interstate 75 was closed for cleanup Monday morning when the overturned tractor trailer lost its load of Bud Light in an early morning crash. The crash involved the tractor trailer and a pickup truck, police said. Now, I actually was listening that morning, and you guys were covering it quite nicely here on WBHF Morning News. That was that really shut it down for a while north of here, and people were warning me. They were calling me that morning because they know I leave the Kennesaw area and go south on 75 on some weekday mornings, and they're like, "You better watch out." I'm like, "That's about 20 miles north of me. I don't have to worry about it, thank goodness." But what the silver lining to that was it kept traffic up here, and it kept it open down on my end for a little while. So,
I think one of my traffic reports, I said, once you get past it, it's smooth sailing because everyone's stuck behind.
That's right. Well, what you guys didn't do is the special WBHF BK on the air microphone was there during the cleanup of that accident.
Bud. Wines. Bud. Wines. Bud. Bud. Wines. Bud.
There's a little bit of it still left on the interstate. So that night when the frogs came out, they had their own little conversation.
And then the frogs got some of the leftover spill off.
And they all wandered down on the I-75, and there's a lot of squished frogs out there because they didn't know what
how many times have we said when that happened, I want to be there? I could have gone out there, except I was here. And by the time I was done,
they had it cleaned up. But was there just maybe a little bit left? You could have taken a sponge with you.
I would have taken any of the busted. I would have taken scratch and dent.
Alan Sanders is on the scene right now with WBHF. He has a giant sponge and a glass.
Let me just do as a general shout out to all the employees of InBev Anheuser-Busch. If you get your extra beer delivery and you don't want it, we won't let it go to waste at the San Monaco compound.
Maybe I can deliver their water. Need some
water?
Can
make a donation.
We can there.
How about a movie, lovely lady?
As far as dog, but with a flick of my bick, I can see you're ahead.
Coffee, tea, or a flick of my bick?
Flick of the bick, sir? Oh, a flick of the bick, sir? Why just light up when you can flick your bick? It's smooth, easy on the thumb, and you get thousands of flicks from a single bick. The Bic Butane.
Shh, stop flicking your bick. My Tupperware lady has the freshest ideas, like all sorts of sizes and other surprises. My Tupperware lady has the freshest ideas for locking in freshness.
Go to a Tupperware party and see whole bunches of convenient ways to store and serve food. And more delicious colors. Go to a party soon.
Your Tupperware lady has the freshest ideas for locking in freshness.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here, having a wonderful time. Alan Sanders in the studio with me. You having a good time?
I feel like I'm grooving. So
I did hit the button to bring the mirror ball down.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Which is kind of cool.
We're already Wang Chung tonight.
One of the rare little segues into detours that ELO did into the disco world. You know, they did that as well.
I should watch Xanadu
which is kind of cool. Oh, I could have played Xanadu too. Yeah. So
I do. I feel like I should be rollerblading.
You know what? Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Don't watch Xanadu.
Don't.
Because I know what's going to happen if you watch it. Have you never seen it?
Saw it once.
Okay.
When I was a kid.
That's enough. That's enough. That's one of those films, and I know some people like it. And it's got the soundtrack is great. The soundtrack is fantastic.
I think the reason I wanted to see it is because of the title song.
But the movie, I don't even think it's a kind of a bad movie to even like. It's just so poorly done.
It's not even a Flash Gordon.
No. No. Are you kidding me? And there's another movie with a great soundtrack by Queen. I mean, come on. Sometimes these soundtracks...
Because the visual effects are about the same generation.
That's not true. That is not true at all.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
They kind of look the same.
That's not true.
You know,
There's not one spaceship in Xanadu.
Well,
you can't compare those two special effects. Are you
way
crazy?
The blue screen kind of stuff worked.
Did they even use a blue screen in Xanadu?
The mural coming to life.
I apologize to everybody that loves Xanadu because to me, I couldn't get into it. The good thing about Xanadu when you watch it is you get to stare at Olivia Newton-John for an hour and 45 minutes. That's the good part.
I will tell you, all I remember as a kid, besides roller skating at some point and gods in the heavens and
was angels and sprites.
It took until the end to get the song back. I was like, I just watched it for the song because that was a hit on the radio.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs throughout it that are pretty good too because they're just sprinkled in. I take that back. There's another great part of Xanadu. It's the middle part where they transform. They transform into the two main characters, Olivia Newton-John and Michael Beck, I think, is the actor. They transform. They do an animated sequence because they fall in love with each other and they turn into animation flying around. She's like a little dragonfly fairy girl and he's on a
I don't even
flower.
remember this.
But it's animated by Don Bluth, who animated all those movies for Disney and his own movies.
Well, I would
it's
like
a
that.
great middle sequence, and it's set. The song playing during the animation is "Don't Walk Away" by ELO. It's a great song, and that's another high point of that movie is the middle part, the animated part. So I will say that. So there we go. Hey, I said something positive about Xanadu. I can when I try.
See, now for me,
I can do
the
it.
only Xanadu is the Rush song, Xanadu.
Well, of course, yeah.
That's the only.
I didn't even know they had a song called that.
Really?
Yeah. Don't they have?
You're not a fan.
Doesn't someone you like have a song the same title as one of the Rick Springfield songs? And I mixed it up one time. He had a song called "Human Touch." Name some of Rick Springfield hits. "Human Touch," "Don't Talk to Strangers."
"Eyes of a Stranger" by Queensryche versus "Don't Talk to Strangers."
Oh, okay. Maybe that was the day you said that. And I'm like, you like Rick Springfield? You're like, that's not a Rick Springfield song. You dope.
"Eyes of a Stranger." Like, oh, I like Rick Springfield. That's not Rick Springfield.
ELO has a song called "Eyes of a Stranger," it's just called "Stranger." They say "Eyes of a Stranger" in the song. You know, we could do that song crossovers all day. That'd be another little segment we could do one day. But we still have to finish up with what we've got here.
Yes, I've got another news. From UPI, an outdoor showing of the film 101 Dalmatians in England broke a Guinness World Record when 127 dogs attended the film.
See why I gave you that one?
Rachel Marie, age 23, who runs a dog boarding service, organized the event Sunday at Purtiswell Leisure Centre in Worcester.
Purtiswell Leisure Centre.
When somebody sees it spelling and they go, it's it's Worcester. Like Worcester, Massachusetts. But Worcester.
Like that German composer Wagner.
Yeah, Wagner. I like that guy. He wags a lot.
That Wagner guy. He wrote Ride of the Valkyries.
Marie had hoped to gather 200 dogs to watch the film, but was still successful in breaking the record when 127 canines turned up with their owners. The previous record for most dogs at an outdoor cinema screening was set in 2019 in Brazil, when 120 dogs attended a showing of The Secret Life of Pets 2. The event raised $634 for the Amisil Dog Rescue Charity.
Anytime it's dogs, I love that. Well, I've got one more news coming up here. From AP. This is from the AP. German custom officials say a trail of slime led them to a stash of almost 100 giant African land snails and other items hidden inside bags at Dusseldorf Airport this month.
This is not going to stand.
In a statement Friday, authorities said officials stumbled over one of the snails on a baggage truck and initially thought it was a toy until it started moving. By following the trail left by the 20-centimeter, that's 8-inch snail, That's a big snail. They found a bag with a hole with another snail already peeping out of it, possibly preparing for a dash for freedom. One of those real quick snail runs to get away. In total, officials found 6 bags containing 93 snails, 62 pounds of fish and smoked meat, and a suitcase full of rotting meat. What they were going to use the rotting meat for, maybe it just started rotting. All had been imported from Nigeria, and they were destined for an African goods store in western Germany. The snails were headed to an animal rescue service in Dusseldorf, and the meat was destroyed, custom officials said.
No, the snails were headed to the meat.
Yes. That's a big piece of escargot. Quote, never in the history of Dusseldorf, custom office has a trail of slime led us to smuggle goods. Said its spokesperson, Michael Walk. He was then immediately carted off by the Avengers.
I'm going to digitize myself into a computer.
Thank you, Arlem Zola, for that. Played by Toby Jones, as a matter of fact. Yeah. I went for a long time not knowing that Toby Jones voiced Dobby in the Harry Potter movies. That's him talking for Dobby.
Well, now I know, too.
You didn't know either? Let me look,
think,
because I want to make sure.
I didn't think corrected. About it, but
he's a great character actor.
Dobby likes Harry Potter. Dobby wants nothing to bad happen to Harry Potter.
I got friends that hate Dobby, and I'm like, I love Dobby. He was a great character. What's wrong with him?
If you're not weeping like a frickin' child at the end of Deathly Hallows Part 1, there's something wrong with you.
Yes, that's right. I just confirmed it on the thing that I call the internet. He does
the internet
voice. But he says he doesn't like to do it for people in public. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's too much. Like, I want
to do his trap digitized version in the computer. That's what I wanted to do.
Did you know there's an actor from Europe named Vladek Shabal? He was in he was the one of the bad agents in From Russia with Love. You'll know his face if I ever showed it to you. And then he was in a television series called UFO that Jerry Anderson did. The same guy that did Thunderbirds in Space 1999. He looks. I think they looked at his face and made Dobby from Harry Potter. I think they used his face.
You know what's funny? You say that.
His face,
There was a big controversy. Vladimir Putin thought that it was his face that was used.
I could see that, too.
And if you take and you pull the nose in and you pull the ears back, his eyes and cheekbones, you're like, oh, my God. It could be a Vladimir Putin.
So on the break, I've got it pulled up. I'll show you a picture of Vladek Shabil, however you pronounce his name, and you tell me.
But if you
think he looks like
you do
Dobby.
a Google search of Dobby and Putin, you'll see the comparisons as
well.
But
they have to change Putin's face a little bit to make him do that, or exaggerate it a little bit, you said?
No, if you look,
I can see the nose with Putin. I can see that,
you
too.
You can see it. You go, wow, I do see the similarities.
Well, I'll show you this guy at the break, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm getting geared up to it's just a fun – it's a double-edged sword. It's my last show for 2 weeks that I'll be hosting, and I'll be gone the next couple of Saturdays, even on the podcast. We're going down to Universal Studios, and we're going to do a history of Universal coming up after the break. Now, by the way, after the top of the hour, we have the return of Star Wars Extra. It's reporting on the Star Wars universe expanded and movies and streaming and stuff like that. Mike Mann you'll hear from Mike Mann in Star Wars Extra. That'll be bi-weekly, every other week. They're going to do that. He's been very busy with a new job.
I'll be surprised.
I'm looking forward to this trip because, number one, there are, I think, 3 rides at Universal that have opened since I've been there. Well, I take that back. There's two new rides I haven't ridden yet, and one ride that's been kind of refurbished, cleaned up, and redone, which I'm looking forward to riding it again because it's been restored to its brand new glory that it used to be. That's the Revenge of the Mummy. The Mummy ride, the last few times I rode it, I've noticed there's a part where things are supposed to happen, in the ride, like the whole ceiling catches on fire in one shot, and then one part of the show, Imhotep comes out and silences the guy who's in charge of the ride, supposedly. That's the whole theme of Revenge of the Mummy. You're on a ride that gets taken over by Imhotep, and you're out of control, which is great. So at the beginning, there's a little kid going, hey, keep your arms inside the vehicle at all time, and Imhotep busts out of this wall and freezes the guy with his hand and goes, I'm taking over your soul, and blah, blah, blah. It's great. That wasn't really working all that great the last few times that I went. And I know what they do. They wait till these rides get into a state of kind of that, and they just shut it down and just fix everything at once. It's got to be more economical for them maybe to do that. So that works now. I hear that all the lights lights have been replaced and it's brighter, and everything's been cleaned up, and everything is just like it's brand spanking new. I was scared because I thought they were going to take out all the references to the Mummy movie, 1999 film, and replace it, but they didn't. They put it exactly back the way it should, which is proof of the longevity of that franchise with Brendan Fraser.
So good.
I think that's great. And the Velociraptor ride, I haven't rode that at all. That's going to be new. And Hagrid's Magical Motorbike. I haven't ridden that yet. That's new, and there's no fast passes accepted on that one. So I'm like, great, we'll have to wait in line for 2 hours. Big down there, but we got more when we come back.
Hello, I'm Vincent Price. For many years now, mankind and his offspring have been searching for an alternative to peanut butter and jelly. After employing the latest methods in technology, the Peter Paul Candy Company has found the alternative to peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter with no jelly. Pure, creamy peanut butter dotted with Crispies, covered with pure milk chocolate, but no jelly. I'm sure you're as pleased as I am.
Let's face it, the dollar just isn't what it used to be. That's why people like you and me, we gotta be careful to get the most value for our money. That's why I come here, Taco Bell. I can feed my whole family for $5.59. 2 tacos, 2 bean burritos, 2 tostadas, pintos and cheese, soft drinks, only $5.59. Like they're saying, Taco Bell. What a meal, what a deal. No kidding.
Taco Bell.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Hey, welcome back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF, dispensing nostalgic geekiness talk radio every Saturday morning. I tell everybody I was born in the 60s, most of my growing up in the 70s, and I graduated in the early 80s. That's all you need to know about me and what I like and what I watch and some of my interests in even music and television and movies. So, I mean, I like a lot of the newer stuff, too, but it has to be darn good for me to like it.
At Universal, we make movies and then bring them to life. We created a T-Rex and then we made him real. We invented a time machine, then traveled back in time. The Grinch stole Christmas. Then we brought it back. We discovered a mummy. Then took you into its tomb. Visit Universal theme parks around the world and experience the thrill. Ride the movie. Live the adventure. There's no other place on earth that takes you into the movies like Universal. If it happens on the big screen, it comes to life at Universal. Universal Entertainment. Universal excitement.
That's more of a classic commercial from Universal. Some of the rides are gone that are in that shot. I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, the T2 ride is gone and the Back to the Future ride is gone. But that kind of gives you the idea of Universal and down in Orlando.
Do they still have a Ghostbuster show?
I don't think so.
Not anymore?
I don't think so. But what's fun is we're going to be down there during Halloween Horror Nights. Ooh. There are 4 or 6 different haunted houses to visit. And one of them is based on, I think one of them is based on the classic monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, and whatnot. And one of them is also, another one is like, I think it's Halloween, like Michael Myers and stuff like that. And they're going to, and they do it really great. They always get kudos.
So you're suggesting that Universal Studios might highlight the Universal monsters?
Probably. Now we've decided we don't know if we're going to take part in that because that's a separate purchase. Your tickets don't include that. You got to pay on top of that. We're thinking when they do that, and the park is closed, we're going to use that time to go back to the Portofino Italian resort that we're staying in, which is actually set up like a beautiful, like the Portofino in Italy. Mm-hmm. It's set up the exact same way. You look like you're in Italy, and that's just going to be the night that we're going to go back and relax, have dinner, and not worry about that. So, I mean, we can see haunted houses anywhere. And I'm like you. I love Halloween, but I'm just not a big haunted house guy. I don't know why. It's not that I'm scared of them. Right. It's just that I'm not that. I'd rather be a participant in it, being one of the people in it, scaring people.
If somebody said, "Hey, I've got tickets," and by the way, we can get to the front of the line. Okay, sure, no problem.
Some of them are like 2 hours long.
But I'm not going to stand for 2 hours to go through a 10-minute walk.
Sometimes 5-minute.
Not even that. Yeah,
yeah, sometimes. So, hey, let's do a little On This Day in History. Today is September the 17th on This Day in History, and I'll tell you a few things on this day in history right now. 1787, that's an important date, wouldn't you think so?
It's one I've got memorized.
Since today, it's hashtag Constitution Day today. The U.S. Constitution is signed by delegates at the Philadelphia Convention in the United States of America in 1787 on this day in history. Today,
by the way, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
At 4 p.m. Is
4
that when they did it? Today, and you heard Pat McCormick talk about them on the Golden Rage of TV early in the program. If you're at work listening, you can hear it. You can hear it on the podcast. 1949, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, Warner Brothers cartoon characters created by Chuck Jones. That's with Looney Tunes and Merry Melody series. They first debut in the short Fast and Furious.
Oh, my God.
Was the name of the short that they were in for the very first time in 1949.
Zit-a-bang.
That's pre-50s. Okay, let me warn you right now. There's a lot of television shows that debuted on this day in history. A lot of them. Let's just go through a few of them right here. I'll just give you the years. 1961.
Car 54, where are you?
Premiered on television. That's I think that's before Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis went on to be in the Munsters as Herman and Grandpa. They were in that show first together in Car 54. 1963, Quinn Martin produced The Fugitive with David Jensen, premiered on ABC TV on this day in 1963. And hey, there's another not a bad remake movie with Harrison Ford of The Fugitive, In Search of the One-Armed Man.
Movie.
That was what that whole television show was about. And the grand finale of the show is, he caught the one-armed man, I think, at the end of the show is what happened. And a Quinn Martin production. He always did good shows. Today in 1964, Bewitched premiered on ABC TV with Elizabeth Montgomery. And first Dick York and then Dick Sargent later on as the two different Darrens. What they did, as a kid, I like to think of explanations of why that happened. I'm like, well, Darren was in an auto accident and he had to get plastic surgery. That's what happened, and that's why he looks different. You're like, well, why didn't Samantha just fix it with her powers? Because he forbids her to use her powers. That's why. I would never, if I was married to a witch, I would not be like Darren. I'd never forbid her to use her powers. I'm like, you haven't used your powers in a while. How about using them for some... Let's do some stuff. Come on.
Tell you what,
Elizabeth
Montgomery.
Yes, her and Barbara Eden on two similar shows. They were two wonderfully eye-candy ladies. 1965, the CBS premiere of Hogan's Heroes on this day in 1965. Another funny show, which some people seem to have a problem with. I'm like, did you? And I think those people that complain about Hogan's Heroes never saw it. I don't think you ever watched it because they didn't glorify anything. It was just a comedy, and the Germans in the show were the idiots. I mean, they were. They were basically
Colonel
the idiots.
Klink was a Jewish actor.
Yes, and he didn't have a problem playing that.
And he knew that it was a farce, and it was poking fun at the Nazis. It was loosely based on things that would happen in the Stalags.
Do you remember the theory out there that's about Greece, about Olivia Newton-John's character being dead?
She died on the beach.
There's a theory about Hogan's Heroes, too. Did you hear about this one? Colonel Klink was secretly working for the Americans, and he messed up and acted that way on purpose. That's another theory. I'm like, wow, that could be.
I like
that could be. 1966, the year this old guy was born. We also premiered on this day. Mission Impossible on CBS premiered on this day. Another one of the greatest theme songs on a show. Theme music. Carried over into the movies with Tom Cruise. The theme to Mission Impossible. Great cast on that show as well. I think it's funny that Mission Impossible had Martin Landau in it. And I think he was Masters of Disguises. Roland Hand was his name. And Martin Landau left the show to move on to other things. And then Leonard Nimoy took over his role in Mission Impossible. I think in the last few seasons or the last season or something like that. And what's weird is Gene Roddenberry originally wanted Martin Landau as Spock on Star Trek, but Leonard Nimoy played Spock. So they have two different connections on two different shows like that. On this day in history in 1970, The Flip Wilson Show premieres.
Devil made me wear this dress.
another funny guy. Mom and Dad loved Flip Wilson show, and I remember watching it somewhat as a kid. 1972, MASH premiered on this day. Listen how many shows debuted on September the 17th on whatever year. There are more, but this is the only ones I can include during time constraints. And you're always of two schools when it comes to MASH. Which cast did you like better? I personally like the early cast of MASH. I like Colonel Blake. I like Frank Burns, and I like a Trapper with Hawkeye. I did like that. I'm not saying the later episodes weren't as good. I loved Colonel Potter on the show, but I just think the earlier show was much more of a wacky comedy, and then it kind of more. There was a show that kind of transitioned and morphed as it went along and stayed really good and constant through the whole run. So funny. But I prefer the earlier episodes.
And I'm on the exact opposite.
I know that about you.
It went from
I know that about you.
Schmaltz, like slapstick, almost goofy to the point where
Which is
you
funny.
can still be funny,
Yeah.
but have some underlying relevance. And I love Colonel Potter.
I remember that about you guys, you and your better half. Well, she wasn't your better half when we were talking about doing something, but you guys worked on a short pilot film once called The Green Room, and we were all everyone come in together, and we were talking about the script and the characters and stuff like that, and we were all like, what do you think, what's the tone, what should the tone of the show be? And I was saying, well, let's make it more like WKRP in Cincinnati, let's go the route of this, and some other shows that I mentioned, and you guys are more like, no, we want it to be more like Frasier or that kind of comedy, and we were all discussing it. So you guys coming from that, you say that about MASH, like in the later episodes, I can understand that, but we all like comedy. It's just a different type of comedy. And I like that stuff, too, but I gravitate more toward the Three Stooges and stuff, and funny stuff, and Benny Hill and stuff like that. So I can totally see that.
You know the one comedy I didn't like? Thor, Love, and Thunder. That was horrible.
It was a comedy. It tried its best. It tried its absolute best to be a comedy.
One of our loyal listeners,
and we
by
talked
the way,
about that last week.
Texted me, goes, "Were you just playing, or is it really that bad?"
Oh, really?
No, I wasn't playing.
No.
He texted me back. He goes, "You're right. I made it 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
And I realized you weren't faking. It's bad."
I think the word I saw when I left the theater, I thought of after I saw it was disappointing. I'm disappointed in these filmmakers that made the last one. I'm like, come on, guys, you're the same guys. You just ate your own press and candy and got high off of, we can do no wrong. We'll just make it about, we'll just go goofball to it. It just didn't work that well. 1976, on this day in history, NASA publicly unveils the Space Shuttle Enterprise in Palmdale, California, named after the Star Trek Enterprise, with most of the cast attending that the big letter writing campaign. They were going to call it, I think, the Yorktown or something else. They were going to name it another shuttle or whatever. And they're like, no, call it the Enterprise. The weird thing about that is it's great that the first shuttle was named Enterprise, but it was the one that was the glider tester. It never went into space.
Never flew into space.
So, but that's okay. It was the first one.
But the very first model I ever had, first toy, was branded as Enterprise.
Now, did your model have the little white covers over the rocket engines in the back, the pointy thing? Because that's how they flew it. Because it's aerodynamic. Right. Yep. That's awesome. So a little trivia for you there. 1977, a little music history, September 17th, today in history. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors is number one on this day in history for the 19th straight week on the Billboard charts.
You want to talk about an album that might as well be a collection of number ones.
Yes, exactly. I think there's maybe one, possibly two songs on there that they didn't release as singles. I can't remember how many it was, but it was. That's you want a greatest hits, maybe volume 1, get that one, and you just have to get maybe another greatest hits to cover their other hits after that.
So Rumors is a phenomenal.
It's a phenomenal album, and it's great. And Lindsey Buckingham, great producer, great musician, great guitarist too. You ever seen that guy play guitar without a pick? He uses his fingers only.
And wasn't that after all of the turmoil and the marriage?
It was still going on, yeah. Believe it or not, yeah.
And they were all at each other's throats, and they all wrote all these songs
that were against the other person and sending messages, and they were great songs.
And they were all fantastic.
You know why I think it succeeded? Because they all were incredibly passionate about it. That's the thing. Yeah. Whether it be bad passion or good, it was that. 2010 on this day in history, September 17th, the 54-year run of the soap opera As the World Turns ends with its final episode. 54 years on the air. I don't care if it was a soap opera. That's a successful run of a show. 54 years.
It's a good run.
Speaking of there, we'll have your birthdays and what national day it is when we come back.
You're in the hands of an adolescent.
For old-fashioned candy store goodness, nothing else to do. Like old-fashioned candy store candy, the kind Brock's makes for you.
Brock,
Brock's knows the secret of old-fashioned candy store candy. So Brock's uses fresh-tasting ingredients and good flavors, like pure butter in Brock's butterscotch discs. What an old-fashioned treat.
Old-fashioned candy store candy, the kind Brock's makes for you.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Don't pout, check it out. Zach's gonna show you what work's about.
Jenny, Jenny, oh Benny.
You're gonna make a good penny when you know you have many talents. Name 4.
I can cook and fix a car, read a book and gaze at stars. What kind of jobs am I good for? Tell me.
Chef, engineer, journalist, astronomer.
What you like to do today can help you find a job that pays planet.
Penny, penny, oh penny.
You're gonna make a good penny when you know you have many talents. Name 4. I can sketch, my math is strong, build a desk, sing a song. What kind of jobs am I good for? Tell me.
Painter, computer whiz, carpenter, showbiz.
What you like to do today can help you find a job that pays planet.
Every one of us has got what it takes, and with some thought
you can make your dreams come true by finding out just what to do.
Study, plan, train.
You're listening to BK on the Air. Now back to a guy who put me through a lot of pain in childbirth. I'm his mother, I should know, but I love him anyway. It's BK on the Air.
Hey, do you know about the USA? Do you know about the government? Can you tell me about the Constitution? Hey, learn about the USA. In 1787, I'm told our founding fathers did agree to write a list of principles for keeping people free. The USA was just starting out a whole brand new country, and so our people spelled it out, the things that we should be.
Happy Constitution Day here,
and they
BK
put
on the
those
Air.
principles down on paper and called it the Constitution, and it's been helping us run our country ever since then. The first part of the Constitution is called the Preamble and tells what those founding fathers set out to do. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. In 1787, I'm told our founding fathers all sat down and wrote a list of principles that's known the world around. The USA was just starting out a whole brand new country, and so our people spelled it out. They wanted a land of liberty, and the preamble goes like this. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution
preamble of the Constitution from Schoolhouse Rock. I actually learned it thanks to that short.
I have a hard time reciting it because I want to sing it because of the number of times I watched it as a cartoon on Saturday morning. Didn't even realize, it's a mini cartoon. It's an interlude.
Happy Constitution Day. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution is signed by the delegates at the Philadelphia Convention on this day in history.
Independence Hall.
Birthdays today. Let's go through some birthdays. Happy birthday to Hank Williams, American country singer. Some would say the king of country music. He died in 1953, Hank Williams. His son went on to be pretty popular, too, Hank Williams Jr. Today is Roddy McDowell's birthday. Actor, Planet of the Apes, Cleopatra, Fright Night. I mean, that guy was all over the place. He was a frequent guest on the Carol Burnett Show. I think him and Carol Burnett were friends. He died in 1998. Let me just say that he was a great actor. Another guy with a fantastic voice. I mean, you had to have something to play the apes with all the makeup on. And his voice is Cornelius or Caesar that he played, whichever one was great. And by the way, I think those movies, the makeup in those movies still hold up to this day.
Well, it was Academy Award winning, if you remember at the time. It was considered, I mean, he got an Oscar for visual effects or makeup effects.
And talk about picking people to do those roles. Roddy McDowell, you had Kim Hunter playing Zira, another fantastic actress. I think she was in Rebel Without a Cause, I think was what she was in with James Dean, but she was a classic old movie actress as well. Maurice Evans was Dr. Zayas. Remember, he played Samantha's father on Bewitched, talking about Bewitched. He had that voice that talked like this. It came through the makeup, and it was a great. He had Charlton Heston. He didn't wear any makeup, but might have worn a little bit.
Actually,
but he was great.
Go check it out. He's wearing very little.
he's wearing like a diaper in it or something.
Well, at one point,
like
remember, they stripped the loincloth and they get the butt shot.
And you see a full Charlton Heston moon in that film. Today is Paul Benedict's birthday. American actor. He played Mr. He played Mr. Bentley in The Jeffersons, their neighbor. He was also the mad painter on Sesame Street. Do you remember the guy wearing the overcoat, and he always had some paint with him, and he would paint either a number or a letter on something, and there was music playing in the background? That was him playing the mad painter in Sesame Street. He died in 2008. He always came over to George Jefferson's house. He had a bad back, and when his back would go out, he'd lie on the floor and let George walk on his back, and he's like, okay, I'll straighten your back out for you. It was a gag, a running gag. He's no longer with us. He died in 2003, but today is John Ritter's birthday today from Three's Company, and not a lot of people know this, but people that watch TV knows that the Waltons celebrated their 50th anniversary this week. The Waltons premiered 50 years ago this week. John Ritter was a semi-regular on the Waltons. He played their preacher of their church on the Waltons back then. And Richard Hatch. Richard Hatch was on the Waltons. Apollo from Battlestar Galactica I think he was in 3 different episodes as one of their cousins, one of the Waltons' cousins. But John Ritter had a great reoccurring role on the Waltons as well. And Three's Company was funny. I think they did a special on Three's Company once on ABC. It was like a retrospective anniversary special, and they got Lucille Ball hosted it because she was a fan of their show. I'm like, okay, if you got a sitcom on in the 70s and Lucy is a fan of your show, that's a big feather in your cap. Right. I'm telling you right now. And she loved it. And today is Cassandra Peterson's birthday today. You may also know her as Elvira.
Mistress of the Dark.
Not the Elvira from the Oak Ridge Boys, not that song. Elvira. I loved Elvira's shorts, especially in the 80s when I'd watch her, and all those little shows where they hosted something or put in their little comment about a bad movie, like as a guy gets his hands chopped off in a movie or whatever like that, and she'll just pop in out of the blue and go, well, you got to hand it to him, and then the movie starts right again after she says that. It was stupid, but it was funny.
Her movie, the Elvira movie?
I did see it once a long time ago. I didn't see it in the theater, but it's actually funny.
It is so
It was a funny show.
And because she realizes she's a character, and so she doesn't even take herself seriously.
No, you shouldn't.
It's awesome.
And Elvira was always easy on the eyes. Of course, is this 80s kid out of high school. I loved watching Elvira. And also, there was another one, the USA Network, back in I don't know if it was in its infancy or it had been on for a while, but they used to do a show called USA Up All Night. And Rhonda Shear, another nice-looking lady, would host that. Very well-endowed lady. She's very smart. And it was another good show where she kind of made fun of the movies, not while they're on, but I think she would do it on a commercial break. All those shows that did that, I love that. We had our hand at that at once. Channel 14 in Atlanta, in Marietta, WTLK, for a while. Had a buddy work there, and he goes, "What? I'm gonna film pilot for them before we make fun of movies, because he goes, listen, we can get these movies. They're in the public domain. We don't have to pay anything for them. We just rent them for whoever has one, and we'll show the movie at night, at midnight. We'll make fun of it, and we'll call it the Strangely Irritating Movie Show. And I was a part of that pilot up there in Marietta to do that. And they're like, and they watched it. We filmed the whole thing making fun of Day of the Triffids or something like that, some old crazy sci-fi movie. And we put a lot of production into it to do it. And they watched it, and they're like, that's okay. We just don't think we're interested in that. Like, well, what the heck? It aired once. We gave it a shot. What the heck? That was cool. And then later on, they're like, wow, maybe we wish we would have done that, because that seems to be the rage now with MSTK 3000 or whatever that show was on Comedy Central, where they make fun of shows. But they didn't take our show. But I didn't take it serious. I didn't take it personally. Yes, I did. I took it totally.
You were
personally.
just ahead of the curve.
The one thing the TV exec at that station told me at the time, the host of it, the guy goes, well, I guess it's all right, but, does he have to wear short pants? He's got hairy legs. He can't be on the air with short pants. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, this is the only criticism you have of this that can be easily fixed by putting him in jeans or something. No, that's not why you don't like it. Or we just fix that, and it would be all right. You just don't like it. Just let us know. It's also always National Something Day on every day. Today is National Apple Dumpling Day today.
The gang?
No, not the... Well, it could be them if you want it to be, but it's more of the food. If you take apples and mix it with the word dumpling, put me in the yes column.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've had apple dumplings. I've had chicken dumplings. Anything with dumplings, I'll try it,
I'm always up for a Wait, hold on.
Actually, dumpling.
There we go.
Say the whole word. I mean, if it's just the dumplings with nothing else, I'll eat the dumplings, too. Especially if it's because I don't mind it. Because once you eat all the chicken out of chicken dumplings, all that's left are the dumplings. They're just like dough and stuff. Yeah, but it's half raw cooked dough that's salty. It's big on there.
In the not so distant future, on a planet called Earth, it's Underoos.
Star Wars Boba Fett is here. That means Darth Vader's always near. C-3PO is lots of style. And R2-D2 just makes me smile. Star Wars Underoos are here, yeah! Something out of sight in underwear.
Don't be so ridiculous, R2. Underoos are for Earthlings.
Hello and welcome once again to Star Wars Extra. Bringing you the latest from across the Star Wars galaxy, I'm your host, Mike Mann.
Hello there.
This week, the news noted that the future of the Star Wars Rogue Squadron film has officially been removed from Disney's list of upcoming Star Wars titles. Star Wars Rogue Squadron was originally announced in 2020 and has had a troubled history since. The film, helmed by director Patty Jenkins, was destined to be the next theatrical title released by Lucasfilm and Disney, set to debut December 2023, and was even called The Future of Star Wars by Kathleen Kennedy. However, it was delayed shortly thereafter due to Jenkins' other commitments and reworkings within Disney, bringing us to the present. The film has officially been removed from the upcoming title schedule. While the unsurprising news is still disappointing, it is important to note that the motion picture has not been totally abandoned as of yet. Star Wars Rogue Squadron is currently set to release sometime.
General Kenobi.
Also this week, news regarding the upcoming Star Wars The Acolyte has continued to build momentum with the release of two casting announcements. First, Manny Jacinto will be starring alongside Amidala Stenberg. Jacinto is best known for his role in The Good Place. Next came the news that Russian Dolls actor Charles Bennett is currently in negotiations with Lucasfilm and Disney to join the cast as well. Bennett, who was surely recommended by the Acolyte series creator and writer Leslie Headland, previously had a stint on Arrow, Chicago Fire, and You. Star Wars The Acolyte, also starring Jodie Turner-Smith, Squid Games star Lee Jung-jae, Amidala Stenberg, and Manny Jacinto, is scheduled to begin production in late 2022 or early 2023. And in other news, Hasbro Pulse is set to release exclusive Black Series figures from September 30th through October 1st. A few characters include Cassian Andor from the upcoming Andor series, The Mandalorian, and a Death Trooper on fire. PlayStation has announced the upcoming Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Enhanced Edition for the PlayStation VR2 platform. The Imperial Information Bureau has announced the full dissolution of the Galactic Senate after an Imperial investigation uncovered a plot to overthrow the government. Several high-ranking senators and representatives have been discovered to have been in contact with various rebel cells. Marvel Comics released the following Star Wars titles this week: Marvel Unlimited, Darth Vader number 23, Bounty Hunters number 23, Star Wars number 27, along with new collections Bounty Hunters Volume 2 and Star Wars Legends Epic Collection, The Empire Volume 7. And this week in Star Wars history, filming for The Revenge of the Sith was completed in 2003, Star Wars The Force Unleashed was released in 2008, Star Wars The Clone Wars began its third season with the episodes Clone Cadets and ARC Troopers in 2010. That's all the time we have. This episode was written by Droidak Media exclusively for Star Wars Extra and broadcast from Studio Lindora aboard the Lindora Prime. Be sure to check out all of the latest and greatest in Star Warsing. For Star Wars Extra, I'm Mazara Eckham, and now back to BK.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Light Bright, the toy that lets you create beautiful pictures with light. Work with colorful pegs that glow with light, light bulb not included. Make people, animals, things, and with refills, Bugs Bunny or Bozo the Clown. You can make lots of pretty pictures with Light Bright from Hasbro.
Yes, thank you, Mike Mann, for the Star Wars Extra Report and Light Bright. Why are we talking about a Light Bright? Well, I'll tell you right now from Ben Hooper at UPI. The Toy Hall of Fame finalists include Breyer horses, Masters of the Universe, and even more. The Strong National Museum of Play announced its year's finalists for the National Toy Hall of Fame, including Bingo, as I said, Breyer horses, Light Bright, Catan, and the Masters of the Universe. The Strong, located in Rochester, New York, said 3 of the 12 finalists will be inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame on November the 10th, so it's just coming up in a couple of months. The inductees will be chosen by the National Selection Advisory Committee, with online Players' Choice voters counting collectively as one member of the committee. The games include, in this year's field of finalists, include Bingo, the lottery game that first appeared in its modern form in the 1920s, Catan, which I wasn't familiar with, the board game originally known as Settlers of Catan when it was published in Germany in 1995. You ever heard of Catan? That's interesting. It must be a popular board game, because I've never heard of it. But I don't know.
It's like when you said it, but you said it also with Masters of the Universe. I was wondering, is it related?
I don't know. No, I think it's completely different because it says it originated in Germany.
Okay.
Phase 10, a rummy-style card game that first appeared in 1992. I've never heard of that one either, and is the second best-selling card game in the world. How do I miss? I guess it's newer stuff of the 90s and card games I didn't keep up on. Phase 10. I've never heard about that.
I had to look this up. It's a game. I recognize
Catan?
it. Yeah, Catan is it used to be called also The Settlers.
Right, okay. I didn't. Yeah, it says Settlers of Catan is what it was known earlier. I never heard of that. And there's one called RACK-O, R-A-C-K-O, a pattern-building card game first introduced by Milton Bradley in 1956. I don't remember that one either. So some of these must be classic for a reason for them to include them, but I've never heard of some of them. But I'm very familiar with Light Bright, and I'm very familiar with Bingo, and I'm very familiar with the Masters of the Universe toys as well. Other toys on the list, finalists, are Pinata, Nerf toys, Pound Puppies, the spinning top, the little top you could pump with a metal thing and it would spin, or just spin it around, and the spirograph. I think the spirograph should already be in there. The spirograph was fascinatingly fun.
I always wanted one. I never got one.
Oh no! See, I got a spirograph because I think it was one of the things that Mom could afford was the spirograph, and once it was not cool and fun anymore, I think I shuffled it off into the attic and never saw it again. But it was fascinating. But how much do kids play with the little things like spirograph and things like that now? What with their phones and video and everything, they're all getting away from all that cool kind of stuff. The Light Bright, I think they still sell the Light Bright in toy stores.
They do it digitally now. But you can have a Light Bright.
I've seen that on, and there's an app for it too. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not. That's not the same. That is totally. That's something where I'm like,
that's
okay,
like saying
that's
I'm
really
going to
not
play
the same.
with Play-Doh online.
I'm sure that you can do that too, but I'm like, that physical stuff isn't the same when it translates into
I had
digital.
The Play-Doh barbershop.
Oh, you
would
did?
put the little guys and you put the Play-Doh in there and you push it and it would pop through their hair.
I didn't have that.
And then
That's
you had
cool.
the pretend shaver and you would shave it all off, mix it all back up and do it again.
Our family was poor. We just had the little cans of Play-Doh, and we're like, play with it, do whatever with it. But then you know the one I did want? I did want the Play-Doh doctor one where he had the teeth. Did you ever see the dentist Play-Doh one?
Mm.
Had a big head of a guy, a caricature, and he opened his mouth, and he had empty places in his mouth, and you could make little Play-Doh teeth and put them in there, and you had a little pretend drill, and then you had to take the gold-colored, yellow-colored Play-Doh and cover maybe a cavity up over his tooth or something like that. I think it was Dr. Mouth, I think it was called, but it was a Play-Doh one, and I don't know, I wanted that one. That just sounded fun, so that's kind of fun. Play-Doh. And I'll share it with you like everybody else, and you'll probably agree with me on this. I love the smell of Play-Doh.
Oh,
because when you smell, even now as a kid, as an adult, I smell Play-Doh and it just takes me back. I'm like, whoa, I'm 6 years old again.
It's such a unique smell.
It's one of those smells. It's like the green compound they used to put on the floor at school. Did your school ever put the green stuff on there to get all the dust up, and then they'd come in and sweep behind the green compound off of the floor? Did you ever have that in your school? A lot of schools have it. It was a green compound they just spread across the floor, and the janitors would come through and just sweep it through, and it automatically just pulled up everything that was on the floor, dust, dirt, and everything. Just sweep the compound up. And that had a smell to it. I'm like, it just immediately takes me back right there to that where I was. Wow. Some of those smells do that. I never drive by someone mowing their grass and smell freshly cut grass and not think of a summer day growing up, in Alabama.
I had heard this a long time ago, and as actors, sense memory is a really powerful tool for performing. That the sense of smell has some of the most evocative memories.
It does. You think that hearing and sight would, but smell is pretty powerful. It is powerful.
If I walk into a place and I smell, like, let's say, sauerkraut cooking, I'm suddenly at my grandfather's lake house when we would have those celebrations. Because that's the only time I ever smelled it cooking. But I was like, suddenly I'm like, I'm at my grandpa's house.
Yeah.
And so it's so powerful as a scent.
If I could ever locate a bottle of Aqua Velva and just give it a whiff, I'm like, it's my dad.
You can't find
That's my dad. I don't know if they still make it. I don't even know if they still make Aqua Velva. I remember that. Aqua Velva, the blue kind. It had to be blue. You had the blue or the green bottle. Or High Karate. Yeah. That was another cologne.
I was so influenced by the commercials that played during cartoons. That
they all were, yeah.
I was like, I got to buy my dad Aqua Velva for Father's Day. He'll love it. I don't think he ever wore a splash of it. I literally bought Aqua Velva because I thought the commercial makes it sound cool.
And are you saying that Colonel Sanders stunk a little bit too? Or
No, he had his own stuff.
Oh, he did wear his stuff. Yeah. Okay.
I fell for every commercial when I was a kid. Every commercial was like an amazing thing. We got to go buy it. Oh
yeah, there's a scene in E.T. where because their dad's divorced from their mom. He's left, and they're going through his stuff in the garage. And it's such a personal touch with Steven Spielberg putting it in to identify with kids. And they're going through his dad's box of stuff, and he pulls out one of his shirts, and he smells of it, and he's like, this reminds me of Dad. And the older brother smells it, and he goes, what does he say? Old Spice. And Elliot goes, Sea Breeze. He corrected him. Said, not Sea Breeze. So it's like, that's a cool touch.
It is a very nice touch.
Because it smells like your dad. I don't even know if I'm going to have time to do this, but I can do the headline and talk about it quite briefly. From Fox News, Pat Sajak reveals that he may leave Wheel of Fortune after season 40. You know how long that game show's been on? A long time. The game show host of more than 40 years said the end is near, as he hinted he's ready for one last spin, according to Entertainment Tonight. Quote, years go by fast. We're getting near the end. It's been a long time. We're not going to do this for another 40 years. Obviously, the end is near, the TV icon indicated. Wheel of Fortune premiered on television in 1975, and Sajak started hosting it in 1981. Co-host Vanna White joined Sajak in 82. Now, Alan, you get bonus points if you remember who hosted it before him. Who was the original host of Wheel of Fortune? From 1975 to 81, Chuck Woolery, Mr. Love Connection. He hosted it, and I remembered him, and I think I preferred him. I thought he was the better host. He's really cool.
Well, so lasted a lot longer.
We'll have to wait and see just how long Sajak and they will stay with it. Said he might retire, so I don't know. It's Beak on Air. I'm not retiring anytime soon. I can't afford it. It's Beak on Air.
Superman, man, am I glad to see you.
What are you doing on this deserted road?
Some guys from school drove out here and were going to start fooling around with drugs. When I told them all drugs do is mess up your head and get you in a lot of trouble, they kicked me out of the van and drove off.
You're right not to get involved in the drug scene. Nobody with any sense wants any part of it.
How do I get home?
That's no problem at all.